Hello, everybody, and welcome into the NBA Front Office Show for my first mock draft of this 2023 NBA draft season. I'm Sean Davis. You guys can follow me on Twitter at Sean_DAVI. And wow, what a class this is shaping out to be. I'm so excited to be able to break this all down for you all over here on the Front Office Show's YouTube channel or on the LakersNation.com podcast or on the LakersNation.com website. So it's going to be a ton of fun. And this is, I'm just going to lay down a couple of ground rules for this series. I plan on having at least 4 to 5 mock drafts up before the draft. One of those, I do plan on doing a full 2-round mock draft. This could be my last mock draft the week of the draft. I'm going to also try to have 2 mock drafts with guests, 1 solo with no guests, and it's trades. And then this one, where it's no trades, just what I would do. And that's also a very big point of these mock drafts is what I would do mock drafts, or I put myself into the chair of all 30, or in this case, it's like 20 something teams at the first round pick, NBA front offices, executives, general managers, whatever you want to call it, and do what I would do based off of my scouting and evaluation. It's going to get a lot better the more that we go through and the more I get to evaluate these prospects and get a better and a more grander scale of an idea of these prospects. And I'm so excited. So really quickly, if you guys do want to support me and find some more my draft content, you guys get my big board and a bunch of other stuff, go follow me on Twitter at Sean_DAVI. Get a bunch of great content there as well. And then again, do subscribe right here to the NBA Front Office Show's YouTube channel. Ring that post notification bell for more. And yeah, I'm so excited. Let's go. Not going to talk this long to start off a intro for the mock draft going forward. And yeah, quick thing, do me a big favor and hit that like button. There's a million mock drafts out there. It really tells the algorithm over on YouTube that you guys enjoy the content. And whether you agree or not, it's all for fun conversation. And yeah, let's get right into it. This is obviously the Victor Wembanyama sweepstakes. So let's just get it out of the way. It's the San Antonio Spurs won the draft lottery. Victor Wembanyama, welcome to San Antonio. One thing that is notably missing from these graphics that will for sure pop up by mock draft 3 is eventually you'll start getting my grades on the screen. I have a personal grading scale, and every player will wind up with a grade before the end of this draft process. So hopefully by mock draft 3, especially for the first round of talents, you guys will have all of my grades there available. I'll have like my grading scale in the comments. I'll send it to Trevor. And yeah, so that's also going to be notably added there. But Victor Wembanyama to the San Antonio Spurs. I mean, you now have your franchise-altering or potentially franchise-altering superstar that the San Antonio Spurs were desperately lacking. And this is why I'm such a big fan of teams just taking a year and be bad. Like the San Antonio Spurs post Kawhi Leonard were very mediocre. They had a couple of draft selections I liked. I like Devin Vassell coming out. So that's a good pick. But Devin Vassell is a good starter, but Devin Vassell doesn't raise the floor of your team or raise the ceiling of your team, rather. So instead of saying, hey, look, we made the play-in 2021-22, we have DeJounte Murray, who's our star player, if you will. Let's get more pieces to build around this star player. What the San Antonio Spurs did, which I love a ton, is, you know what? We're going to trade DeJounte. We're going to cash in now while he's hot. And then we're going to go win the Victor Wembanyama sweepstakes. And there you go. The worst Western Conference record tied, at least with the Houston Rockets, in the entire West. Victor Wembanyama. I mean, like, literally, I don't know what to call him. He's not a unicorn. He's not, I mean, I guess if you want to be technical and do like actual position, center, maybe, but I don't know. I like San Antonio. I think you now hit your biggest need, which is you just need a franchise-altering superstar. And now I think in the second round, UDFA's free agency, you got to really, I think you need a real, I like Trey Jones. I like Trey Jones a lot more. It's like a role of Matthias Jones, where he's just a point guard, like just facilitator off the bench. I think you got to go get another like higher upside even if it's a risk, a higher upside point guard in that second round or in the free agency. Now, the Charlotte Hornets, this is where the draft begins, in my opinion, because I think the Hornets can go one of two ways. Do you believe in the Scoot Henderson LaMelo Ball fit, or you want to go with, I guess, the cleaner fit and go Brandon Miller and pair him up with LaMelo Ball? Well, I'm going to be me, and we're going to go Scoot Henderson. Scoot Henderson, probably the best pick and roll, not probably the best pick and roll scorer in the NBA. He feels confident in his ability to play next to LaMelo, play next to Dame. I personally like this fit a little bit more because I think I like LaMelo's fit as an off-ball player in some instances. I like Dame, obviously, but I love this fit a lot with Scoot Henderson. You surround him in a spot in Charlotte where he doesn't have to have a ton of pressure on him, because Charlotte, I think, at the earliest is another year to two away, where Portland with Damian Lillard, you have to win now. So it's going to be a lot of pressure added to Scoot Henderson day one. I like the fit a lot. It'll be really interesting to see him pair next to LaMelo Ball. Really good cutter. Just needs to tighten up that three-point shot, in my opinion. But Scoot Henderson, I like his game a lot. I think this would be a nice fit. Number 3, the Portland Trailblazers are going to select Brandon Miller out of Alabama. Look, take the off-the-court drama aside, Brandon Miller is a stud. An absolute stud. A guy that does have some high-level athleticism, that can get to the rim and finish at the rim. A wing that is an elite three-point shooter, 40% catch and shoot on insane volume, and great upside as a one-on-one scorer in the half court in space. He also has some playmaking upside as well as the IQ continues to grow. He does need to continue to get better defensively. The Blazers run some complex schemes defensively at times, like they'll hedge a ton. I think at one point last year they hedged at the highest rate in the entire NBA. So with Brandon Miller, you have to make sure that he understands the rotations, weak side, and what you have to do from that department. But I think Brandon Miller, I think this is the top 3 in any order. I would be personally stunned if the top 3 is not in that order. I'm sorry, not in that order, but if these are not the top 10, top 3 players that go 1, 2, 3, whether it's Scoot 2 or Brandon Miller 2. I think that is the order right there. All right, number 4 overall, we got the Houston Rockets on the clock, and the Rockets are a very interesting team to draft for. While you could argue maybe there's a need for a wing, so Cam Whitmore, I'm super high on. We'll get to him in a minute. I'm gonna go on Amin Thompson here at 4 overall to the Houston Rockets. I think pairing him with Jalen Green is a very crisp move from an offensive standpoint. Just a freak athlete in the half court, in transition, whatever you want. Absolute freak athlete. And also allows him to track well as an on-ball perimeter defender, especially if he's locked in. And he has the athletic tools. Again, elite finisher, really good upside as a playmaker. You just need him to be a little bit more of a reliable jump shooter. He does also gamble a little bit too much for my liking on off-ball and help and when to help and things of that nature. But I do like this fit a lot. I think this will be a very interesting fit. I think the reason why pairing him with Jalen Green can work so well is I think that they can be interchangeable. And I think, again, that Amin Thompson's ability as a cutter towards the rim, I like that fit a lot. Number 5 to the Detroit Pistons. Again, a very interesting pick. I think there's a couple options for the Detroit Pistons here. But we're going to take one of my guys in this draft process. That's Cam Whitmore, man. I love this guy. Cam Whitmore, elite finisher, elite athlete. Honestly, it's not Amin Thompson athleticism, but gosh darn, is it pretty daggone close. He loves the jab move, rip baseline, just dunk it in the half court. He has some really good on-ball three-point shooting upside as well, to where he can create a shot for himself out on the perimeter and either shoot the 3, get downhill. He's a smart basketball player, especially offensively. Obviously, playing in that system in Villanova, he's a top player defensively as well, who makes a ton of great plays. I like Cam Whitmore a lot, and I think pairing him off the gate with Cade Cunningham, with Jaden Ivey, with Jalen Duran. Detroit's building something. I think if they land the necessary coach, or they land the correct coach. This is why I like the Detroit job, by the way, as well. Cam Whitmore, I think, fits in perfectly because I think he can really do a great job off the ball and allow Cade and Jaden to potentially run this show, kick out. He can knock down that corner three ball or above the break three. Or, again, you want to close out hard for whatever reason, jab, baseline, dunk on your face. I like Cam Whitmore a lot, man. This is a super fun pick. And again, Detroit is building something in the Motor City. Number 6, the Orlando Magic. They're going to take Anthony Black. I think Orlando just needs to tighten up that guard spot. I like Markelle. I like Cole Anthony. But I just don't see those two dudes as long-term fits. I think Jalen Suggs hasn't panned out quite the way they've wanted to. So now you're looking at a roster of Franz Wagner. You're looking at Paolo Banchero and these other guys on this. Wendell Carter Jr., who's turned out pretty all right for them. I just don't think that the Magic need to go anywhere else. I think you need to solidify that guard spot. Anthony Black is one of the smartest dudes in this draft class, especially out of the guard spot. Again, he has the potential to be an elite defender, could guard 1 through 3. So you have a ton of potential switchability out there on the floor. I do think he needs to improve as a jump shooter and take care of the ball. Teams will go under him on ball screens, so that kind of throws off his offensive rhythm. But really smart basketball player, especially out of the pick and roll. I love this fit a ton. I think Orlando, you get some shooters around these guys in free agency. Anthony Black, Franz Wagner, Paolo Banchero, these guys, man. Orlando's another team that I really like their future. Number 7 is where I think it gets a little bit interesting because I think the Pacers have 2 directions. I think you could go Taylor Hendricks, or I think you could go Jarace Walker. For now, we're going to go Jarace Walker here at 7. Jarace Walker, 6'7", 7'2" wingspan. You're looking at a great point of attack defender, can really switch 1 through 5, in my opinion. Really good passer at the elbow. Offensively, does everything at an adequate enough level, but not anything he's elite at. I guess that's the separator between him and Taylor Hendricks. Maybe I'm talking myself out of this pick, even though I've already made it. But I think either way, or I think Indiana can't go wrong here. I think this is one of the picks, if I'm in this draft. I actually think the Lakers have another one of these picks. I'll get to the Lakers later, where I don't think you can go wrong with where the Pacers are. I think they could go Jarace Walker. I think they could obviously go Taylor Hendricks. I think they could go the other Thompson twin. I think there's a bunch of options. You could trade back. I think that's honestly a viable option for the Indiana Pacers as well. I like the Pacers build as well with Miles Turner. They have a bunch of other first round picks. Again, this is a no trades only, so I am doing my best to make the picks if I'm the Pacers and I can't trade these picks. But I do like this pick a lot. Number 8, keep it rolling here. The Washington Wizards. They're just in a very, very weird spot. I don't like Monte Morris as a starting point guard. I like Monte Morris a ton as a backup point guard. And you never really want to scout the jersey. But, I mean, the track record over at Kentucky is very, very impressive. You're looking at the guy, insane defender with great playmaking upside, as well as out of ball screens, some shot making upside as well. Pairing him with Bradley Beal, year one, where he doesn't have to do a ton in terms of creating his own shot. He can really just play within the flow of the offense and let Brad and let Kristaps and Kyle Kuzma, if you choose to bring those guys back, to really orchestrate your offense and let Cason Wallace be more of a secondary playmaker. I think that's where he's going to thrive at the most at this next level here in the NBA. I like this pick a lot. I think if I'm Washington, I might have preferred if Anthony Black had been here on the board still, but I think you got to take the next available best guard on the board, and for me, it's Cason Wallace. Number 9, we're going to go Grady Dick here at number 9, wing out of Kansas. I mean, just an elite shooter. And you want to talk about one of my favorite fits in this draft? I think it's Grady Dick in Utah. where they're going to run a bunch of off-screen stuff. They're going to run in transition. I like their half-court offense a ton. This fit is just perfect. Picture perfect. Mwah. Elite shooter. Not much of an off-the-dribble shot maker. I don't think they need him to be, because to be quite honest with you, he's not a terrible defender. He's not good by any means, but he's going to get targeted a ton. I think he has to use his frame and be able to move a little bit quicker on his feet. But I think in Utah, where I think they can hide him a little bit, especially when we go to my next pick for the Utah Jazz, I think Grady Dick could really fit in nicely here in Utah. Pair him with Lauri Markkanen and pair him with Walker Kessler. You got a great young core. Ochai Agbaji, another Kansas Jayhawk player. I think Utah's building something nice as well. Number 10, this Trevor said on LakersNation.com podcast that this might be the most tradable pick, or the most likely pick to get traded in the entire first round. I guess you can I can understand where he's coming from, but if I'm Dallas, I'd have to be wild, man, because I'm really sold on Taylor Hendricks. So much so that I was having second thoughts about why I didn't take him at 7, but it's whatever. Taylor Hendricks, elite three-point shooter, especially on the spot, and that's all you need. You could look at the perfect Dorian Finney-Smith replacement. It's going to fall into your lap at 10. I mean, because again, the switchability defensively from Taylor Hendricks is there. Can switch 1 through 5 on the perimeter. Elite help defender with a great IQ off the ball as a help defender. Dorian Finney-Smith, here you go. Here's your replacement. And honestly, you got a better replacement. I think Dallas, and it's one of my favorite teams to talk about from a roster build heading into next season. I think Dallas just needs to run it back. I want Dallas to use this pick here at 10. Go get Taylor Hendricks. Honestly, if there's Jarace Walker, I don't care. Offensively, he doesn't need the ball a ton. Again, Luka Doncic, Kyrie, driving kick. You're kicking out to one of the most elite spot-up shooters in this draft that, oh, by the way, is also arguably one of the best perimeter defenders that can switch 1 through 5, 7-foot wingspan, 6'9", only 19 years old. This is my favorite pick. One of my favorite picks. I don't know. We might get a couple others as we go through here. The Orlando Magic here at 11. We're going to double dip and take Azur Thompson. Again, overtime elite. I like the fit. I think at this point, probably take best available. Again, another freak athlete. Quick decision maker I like a lot. Does make some smart plays and help. But I don't like his ability to create one-on-one in the half court. I think the shooting is going to be a concern. Maybe that's a concern for the the Orlando Magic team as a whole. And maybe you got screwed that Grady Dick didn't fall to 11. I don't know if I want to reach on a Jordan Hawkins or reach on a couple of these other guys, but I think you take best available and hope it works out. I think Anthony Black's shooting could translate, and I think he could figure the jumper out, whether it's off the dribble or as a spot shooter. So maybe there's some spacing concerns eventually, but I think right now you just take best available and you try to work it out. Maybe bring back Gary Harris. You roll out like Anthony Black, Gary Harris, Franz Wagner, Apollo, and Wendell Carter Jr. I think right now you take the best player available. I'm going to try not to botch this, but Bilal Coulibaly, let's see if I can get that down by draft night. But this is, I think, a little high for some people, and I do think it's high, deservedly so, right? But look, here at 12, right? I think you are getting a guy that is a freak athlete, honestly, or at least an upside athlete that has great physical tools, a really good slasher and cutter, and then again has great defensive upside, potentially even a Lou Dort replacement. And now you get to put him in a long-term future in the lineup with Josh Giddey, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Chet Holmgren. I think you go the upside route here, the upside pick here at 12. I contemplated a couple of other guys here at 12 for the Oklahoma City Thunder. I'm going to go with the upside guy, super young. He had some very bright moments playing next to Victor. I really like this pick. I really like this pick a lot. Number 13, the Toronto Raptors. We're going to take Keontae George here, 6'4" guard out of Baylor, who is very, very polarizing. And I don't even want to use the word polarizing, more so frustrating. I'm not going to lie, because I think there's a ton of flashes of brilliance from Keontae George, who I think can be a 3-level scorer that has some good shot making and shows really nice flashes of playmaking ability in the half court or in transition. But the inconsistencies, the decision making from a shot making and a like what type of pass should I throw here and when should I force the needle here is very, very frustrating. But I think if I'm the Raptors and I just need any guard that can come in and create a jump shot for himself, I think this is the pick, or number 14, Bryce Zentabog's the pick. I think Keontae is the better player, but I like Bryce Zentabog a lot, and I think this is a great pick for the New Orleans Pelicans here at 14. Another 3-level score that I think can provide what I called fast food microwave buckets, the Taco Bell points, if you will, in a playoff game. I think that's very, very valuable for teams now, especially after you watch this postseason run where there'll be games in almost every series where you look at not even a random dude, but a dude with great shot making ability, just go on an 8-0 run, and that honestly could win you a playoff game in the playoffs. I do think he has some upside. The defense is a concern. It is a great concern. I do have my player profile on him as well, but I like him a ton. I guess I'm higher on him than some, but this is an example of polarizing, right? You have some people where he's a lottery pick. I have him at the end of the lottery, where he's a lottery pick almost locked in, and then there's some that have him like back 10 of the first round, middle of the 20s. This is where I think if he is available, like if he starts creeping down, I think the Lakers could even trade back or take him at 17. But again, you look at a guy, great ability to finish at the rim through contact, has the catch and shoot threat, 44.4% on all catch and shoot threes this season at Ohio State. Not the best on pull-up situations, a bucket getter in one-on-one. I guess some capability maybe is off ball, but a really physical player. Chaser off ball, defensively. Really physical player. I have him graded out as a lottery pick, and this was my last pick of the lottery. Number 15, we're going to take maybe the riskiest pick in the first round so far. That is G.G. Jackson, a wing out of South Carolina. And this is maybe the biggest boom or bust like prospect or selection we've made thus far, which is G.G. Jackson. You're looking at an extremely raw player out of college, again, who I think will only be 18 still when he gets drafted. So you're talking about a kid that honestly should be graduating high school. He'll be going to the NBA, who has some upside, obviously, some really raw physical tools. I like his build, and he has great ability to create for himself, get downhill, finish at the rim, has some potential to play off ball. You would like the numbers to be a little bit higher, but in his one season at South Carolina, shot just shy of 34% on catch and shoot threes in his one season at South Carolina. I do think, however, that he needs to be more committed to making plays defensively. You can really see like him lose interest at times on the defensive end. And I also think that he needs to improve as a playmaker because offensively, he gets tunnel vision, man. He gets tunnel vision. He can run into 3-4 defenders. And not only does he have to be a better passer, more willing passer, he has to be willing to make the right read consistently. I think that is more so just getting the mental space ready. Again, he's only 18. I think at its best, I think you're getting a two-way wing because I think the physical tools, check out to where defensively he can really get there. And again, he could be a two-way 20-point per game scoring wing, but you have to get him balled in defensively, and you have to get him to be able to make the consistent read consistently, or the right read consistently. There we go. That's the correct wording. But if you hit on G.G. Jackson, this dude's going to be a stud. I like this pick so much. Number 16, the Utah Jazz are going to take Jalen Hood-Schifino out of Indiana at 16, one pick ahead of the Lakers. One of the more pro-ready guards in this draft class where I think he has a ton of upside still, even though he's 20. One of the best pick-and-roll players in this draft class, whether it's his passing or scoring ability out of it. And then even defensively, I think he has some ability to be a solid on-ball point-of-attack defender. not the best athlete. It needs to be a little more consistent shooting the ball, especially from distance. But I think you pair him, and now our draft so far looks pretty all right if you're the Utah Jazz. You got Jalen Hood-Schifino, and then you got Grady Dick. I think you already have Ochai. I like your guard room a ton. It's a young guard room that needs to continue developing, but you pair that with Lauri Markkanen, you pair that with Walker Kessler. I think Will Hardy might be cooking here in the next year or two. The Los Angeles Lakers at pick 17. I think you have a couple of options, and this is where I'm going to kind of talk them out. I think when I look at my board, let me pull my board up here. I think there's a few different options here for the Lakers. I know a lot of people are really interested in Derek Lively. I don't love the fit with Anthony Davis here at 17. I think again, there's a bunch of clips going around about Derek Lively like hitting some threes and during his pro day or whatever. That's something to be determined. I don't think the form and the mechanics are that terrible, so potentially that's something to clean up. But let's say it's like average, right? And by average for his measures, it's not great, obviously, right? You're pairing two bigs that defensively make a ton of sense, right? Because now it allows AD to be the 4, or if you want to pull AD into the ball screen action, it's now Derek Lively cleaning up everything at the rim, right? I just don't love the offensive fit enough to justify taking this right now. Do you want to go guard here? I do have Kobe Buffkin still on my board right now. He hasn't been picked yet. Do you go Kobe Jones? Do you go Nick Smith Jr. hasn't been picked yet? Do you go with one of the wings, Dariq Whitehead, Leonard Miller, Chet Howard, Chris Murray, which a lot of people love? Some of those dudes I think are more traded back candidates. I'm going to have a video up on the Lakers Nation YouTube channel about why I think trading back could be a viable option. But right now, he's one of my favorites. He's on the board. Give me Jordan Hawkins, man. I think, and I described this in my player profile on the Lakers Nation YouTube channel, I think this is a seamless fit. I think he plays into what the coaching staff wants to accomplish offensively from an off-screen shooter standpoint. The best off-ball shooter in this draft in terms of coming off of handoffs in two-man game, running off of 18,000 screens. He's not a great defender. I don't think he's a bad one, though. I think he really tries his hardest defensively to be engaged, make the right play, help when necessary. He is a good athlete. I think he can come in day one and contribute. I like this pick a lot. I would love to get Jordan Hawkins in LA. Number 18 is when Kobe Buffkin's going to come off my board. I like this fit, obviously. I think he's really, really good at the rim and in transition. I think the offensive versatility as a spacer or operating as a primary ball handler out of ball screens is something I think Miami could really use. And this could be a great replacement for Kyle Lowry. I believe Kyle Lowry has 1 year left under his deal. So letting Kobe Buffkin not have any pressure and really learn under probably a Hall of Famer in Kyle Lowry. Maybe not first ballot, but I think a Hall of Famer in Kyle Lowry. Let him learn another Kyle Lowry who already has a Kobe Buffkin, good defensive instincts. Just, I think he does have the best one-on-one game. I like to see him get better in terms of defending ball screens and taking the right angles and just be more of a consistent playmaker from a play-to-play consistency standpoint. But I like Kobe Buffkin a lot. I think you nail this pick if you're Miami, and your future backcourt is spot on now because it's Kobe, Dennis Tyler, and you still got Gabe. If you keep Gabe around, I love this fit a lot. Number 19. This is why it's not a predictive draft. Mock draft, because honestly, I think if Jet and Jordan Hawkins are on the board, I think for the personal connection standpoint, I think Jet Howard's going to go 17 over Jordan Hawkins. I think Jordan Hawkins is the better player. But let's talk about Jet Howard, who I still like a ton. Right? He's still one of my guys. Even I'm not going to lie, I had a ton of fun diving into his film, as I do with every player, but especially Jet Howard. A really, really good shooter. But I think the thing that separates him from Jordan Hawkins offensively is the on-ball shot-making ability, whether it's in the mid-range area, things of that nature. The playmaking upside is also a bigger factor with Jet Howard. I think from a basketball standpoint, it makes a ton of sense to put him into this Golden State system where he's not going to have a ton of there's not gonna be a ton of opportunities to do it, but when he does get those playmaking opportunities, I think he can make the right read. Not the most athletic. I think the rim, the finishing at the rim is a concern. Obviously defensively, although it got better at the end of the year. And I think working with a Draymond, Andrew Wiggins, Steve Kerr, I think they could potentially develop him as a good defender. I like this pick a lot here at 19. 20, the Houston Rockets. We're going to finally take Nick Smith Jr. So we're going to end our night one, or not night one, thinking NFL here. We're going to end round one for Houston, taking 2 guards. We're going to double dip, and we're going to take Nick Smith Jr. Out of Arkansas, who I think really athletic transition scorer, a great runner in the half court as well, runner/floater in the half court. I do like his mid-range game in general. Has really nice pull-up mid-range jumper when going right if you try to counter the floater. I do like that a ton when you're looking at Nick Smith Jr. He needs to be a much better decision maker. And I think the fact that he doesn't have a ton of he just doesn't put enough pressure on the rim for me, because I think he does rely on the runner a little bit too much. Doesn't want to take that contact at the rim. A little bit frustrating as a prospect evaluator. I do like Nick Smith Jr. a lot, though. He had some sloppy moments last season for sure at Arkansas, but high risk, high reward. And you already have Amin Thompson, so if he doesn't hit, it's not the worst thing in the world. So I like the double dip strategy. We're going to land him. And now your guard rotation again. I think you can move on Kevin Porter Jr., to be completely honest with you. I don't think they're satisfied with the way that fits worked. Man, this could be interesting. 21 for the Brooklyn Nets. This is where we're going to take Derek Lively. Here is your replacement for Nicholas Claxton, who's going into a contract year. I think this is the ideal replacement. You go from a guy that is a really good defender to a guy with an upside, potentially even higher defensively. And again, if you get tap into some of the very real rawness offensively from an offensive package for Derek Lively, I think you could really hit something. And this could be a home run pick. Again, the reason why I don't like this pick for the Lakers really quickly is I don't think the Lakers have time to waste on a raw prospect at 17. And I also think that's a tad early. I guess the range is fine necessarily, but I like Derek Lively a lot still. I love this fit in Brooklyn. And then again, let him play under Nick Claxton for a year. If you don't feel like re-signing Nick and paying him what I expect to be a pretty hefty contract, I think you have the Nick Claxton replacement already here in Brooklyn. And then we're going to take Kobe Jones, the guard, or a combo guard, if you will, out of Xavier here in my hometown. I like Kobe Jones a ton, man. Really efficient scoring at the rim, especially out of ball screens, and does a great job of making the proper read out of them as well. I like his ability to be a smart team defender who can get through screens well and uses his frame to his advantage defensively. Has some nice off-ball offensive upside as well. Shot 42.5% on catch and shoot opportunities, but not the best in one-on-one self-creation situations, and he has to be better at taking care of the ball. I think Brooklyn might trade one of these picks, though. I think this is another tradable pick, either 21 or 22. Jump up to the late teens, middle of the teens, or whatever. Combine like 21 and Royce O'Neal to hop into the mid-teens or what have you, and go get whoever potentially you're like Gigi Jackson at 17. Why not, right? If he's still available, or like 15, right? Whoever, right? So I think that could be really, really interesting. Another potential trade target could be the Portland Trailblazers, but again, we're going to take Chris Murray. Similarly to why I took Brandon Miller at 3, I think you just want to load up on the wings. And then also, Chris Murray, I think, is about as sure of a thing as a prospect as some of these other wings are. 22, very much a pro-ready guy, really, really physical. I like his engagedness and activity on the offensive glass. Good finisher as well. Okay athleticism, but really you're getting him for okay defense, good rebounding, good finishing, and elite three-point shooting, especially off the catch and shoot opportunities. Pair him with Dame as a backup year one. I like it. Number 24, Sacramento Kings are going to select Leonard Miller from the G League Ignite. I mean, 6'10", 7'2" wingspan is nuts. Elite finisher, elite in transition. Who is also has really, really good defensive skills, and they definitely improved towards the end of the season. The jumper has to be a little bit more consistent, but I think Sacramento, I think they got to go more wing. I think they're missing another legitimate wing, especially if Harrison Barnes does see the exit doors, if you will, in the coming future. I think this could be a guy that could really take over and combine him with De'Aaron Fox, Kevin Huerter, Keegan Murray, Domantas Sabonis. I like this pick a lot for Sacramento. Number 25. I know you guys are a little bit surprised I haven't said him yet, but Dariq Whitehead. Welcome to the Memphis Grizzlies here at pick 25. Dariq Whitehead, I do have some question marks, right? I think he needs to take care of the ball better. He doesn't do the best of jobs. I don't think he does a good job at all, actually, even getting to the rim. He has a ton of defensive breakdowns. Also, the injury stuff is a concern. But I think this is another guy that if you could get the most out of him, he is still only 18. Shot 44.3% on catch and shoot opportunities last year. Super efficient on mid-range attempts. Can, as a shot creator, create for himself. Again, doesn't do the best jobs getting to the rim. But defensively, although he does have a ton of blown defensive coverages, he does use his length well as an on-ball defender. So I like this pick a lot. I accidentally went to the next slide, but who cares? The Indiana Pacers, we're going to take Noah Clowney here. 6'10", /big man. I think you could pair him up nicely with Miles Turner, which kind of is, I'm not going to lie, a little similar to Miles Turner in some regards. I think when you look at Noah Clowney, really good shot blocker, who's shown some really nice flashes defensively to be able to switch out on the perimeter. I think there is legit shooting upside, whether it's pick and pops. They've run some design ghost screen actions for him, obviously, at Alabama, running that 5-out motion offense, if you will, driving kick motion down there at Alabama with Coach Oates. I think he, again, uses his length well to be able to switch on the perimeter. Doesn't have great lateral quickness. And then, again, off those pick and pops, not much of a driver, but I think you could really pair him up nicely with Miles Turner. And then the Charlotte Hornets, I think are going to get a great pick here after the Scoot Henderson pick. We're going to take Maxwell Lewis out of Pepperdine, 6'7" wing with a 7-foot wingspan. Holy. Who really has some nice defensive upside due to his athletic traits. Wasn't good, but again, the athletic traits are there to where I think defensively you can really see the upside. The catch and shoot impact, 43.1% on all catch and shoot opportunities last season. There's also some good one-on-one shot making upside. Good body control, knocked down that mid-range jumper. The consistency defensively, although I think he can become a good defender, it just wasn't shown enough. But again, I think the traits are there. The ability to separate off the dribble, which really limits his ability to get fully to the rim. And there's just not a ton of playmaking upside there. But you pair him now with Scoot Henderson, with LaMelo Ball, Mark Williams. Again, Charlotte, this is basically what I'm saying. I like this draft so much. I think every team, for the most part, in the first round is getting a guy, especially in the younger teams, are getting some guys that can really contribute in the future. 28, James Niangi, from Barcelona, 6'10", 18-year-old with a 7'4" wingspan, who is a great shot blocker, projects to be a pretty decent drop coverage big, but not much else defensively. I don't love the offensive upside a ton, but we'll get somebody that could come in. Big upside, though, in general. Someone that can come in, be a backup to Walker Kessler. I don't mind the pick. Well, obviously, I don't. Number 29. We're going to take Bobby Klitman, the wing out of Wake Forest. Maybe it's a bit high for some people, but I think there's a ton of shooting upside, a ton of defensive potential. 37% on catch and shoot threes as a freshman. I think you pair him up with Tyrese Halliburton. You got Buddy Hield still, Miles Turner. We just selected Noah Clowney. We also selected Jarace Walker earlier in this draft. Why not double dip? I don't think they use all three of these picks, but I like the pick a ton. I think year 2, he can really have an impact for this Indiana Pacers team, and why not get all the wings you possibly can? And to round things out, we're going to take a real upside pick, at least offensively. We're going to Ryan Rupert out of New Zealand, 6'6", 7'2" wingspan. good grief, who is a freaky long, obviously athletic point of attack defender that, despite the offensive deficiencies, if you will, the fact that he's so long and such a really good perimeter, point of attack defender that got him some starting minutes and landed him the starting role. Really nice playmaking upside and solid in transition. Just super, super raw as an offensive talent. That I think the Clippers make some sense in that, where they can go a couple options. Either one, you kind of use him in a Jarrett Vanderbilt kind of role, where it's just, hey, look, just go lock up the best perimeter on-ball offensive player for a few minutes and sub out. Or you can really allow him to learn and grow as a basketball player for a year or two, and then throw him in there and see what he's got. I think defensively, though, the tools are there. I think Ryan Rupert is one of the better perimeter defenders in this draft class. But, folks, that is all for now. Mock Draft 1.0 is in the books. That was a ton of fun. I can't wait for Mock Draft 2 and Mock Draft 3, where we really get to dive into some trade scenarios. I'm going to have a guest on for a couple of these mock drafts as well. Thank you all so much. Once again, go follow me on Twitter at Sean_DAVI. Rant to me about why some of how much you like or dislike your team's favorite picks. Subscribe right here to the NBA Front Office Show. Subscribe to the Lakers Nation YouTube channel. As always, stay safe. We'll see you guys next time. Peace out.